If you're like me and you buy a lot of Magic the Gathering cards, it's a little overwhelming to figure out what the best places are to buy said cards. Well, lucky for you, I have suffered through many years of buying Magic cards from multiple places, and today I want to share what I have found, specifically in comparing Card Kingdom with TCGPlayer. A little bit of help for doing some research for your Christmas shopping. Now you might be saying, yo, Morgan, Black Friday, that was last weekend. It would have been nice if this video came out a week earlier, and yep, that's definitely true. But hopefully it's helpful anyways, either with your last minute Christmas shopping or, you know, you're a Magic player, you're going to buy more cards later anyways. Speaking of Christmas though, the Christmas episode of our Commander gameplay series is coming out next Friday. So if you're new, make sure you subscribe so you see that when it comes out. It'll be our 3rd year doing that. Always a good time. All right, like I said, we are going to be doing TCGPlayer versus Card Kingdom. Couple of things we should get out of the way. One, why not the local game store? Well, the real answer is that it varies a lot from store to store whether or not you're going to have a good experience. For example, my last LGS, which I think some of the guys in my play group still go to, they had a really good selection of cards and product, but their customer support was just terrible. The people who worked there just seemed like they didn't give a crap. They were kind of rude. They were flippant. It was just not a place you wanted to be your support. Whereas the LGS I've been going to, the guys who work there are great. I like the community. I've gone there to play Magic many a times, but they don't have the best system for going through their cards and finding what you need. Even if they do have it, it's just hard to find. So buying online, especially if you're really picky, if you want a very specific card or a very specific version of a card, buying online is just your best bet a lot of the times. And I know that Card Kingdom and TCGPlayer aren't literally the only options, but they are the top dogs. But if you like this video and we want to go down a couple layers, maybe we can do a follow-up video. Maybe we do like Star City Games versus Cool Stuff Inc. Maybe we do Facebook Marketplace versus eBay. I don't know. There are some options here to explore if we feel like that's worth exploring at another time. This video is specifically about buying cards. If you're selling cards, I recommend Card Conduit because I've used them, but I have not sold cards through Card Kingdom or TCGPlayer before, so I don't know what that experience is like. Also, I am a full-time employee of MTG Goldfish, and they are sponsored by Card Kingdom. Will that affect how I view Card Kingdom? Maybe, but I was using them way before I was working for Goldfish, so I like to think that I'm being unbiased here, but I feel like that's worth disclaiming anyways. And then finally, I may not get through every single pro and con across these two websites, but I've laid out all of the ones that I think are the most important. So let's start off with Card Kingdom. There's some really good pros here from Card Kingdom. First of all, they are fast. I mean that in processing and in shipping. I place an order on cardkingdom.com and I know that they're going to get shipped out within a couple days and then it's going to arrive just a couple days after they ship it. I don't even want to call that a con for TCGPlayer because I feel like their shipping time is on average fine. If you have a big order, it's obviously going to take longer. That's true for both of these stores. Bigger orders are going to take longer to go out. And I've never been like, man, TCGPlayer just takes so freaking long. But seriously, Card Kingdom is just so much faster between getting your order processed and then getting it out the door and into your mailbox. Next pro is the quality. Card Kingdom, in my experience, has been very hardcore about being on top of their quality control. I've never had a complaint about card quality from Card Kingdom. If I buy a like high-end near mint card, I can expect that it's going to come in basically looking perfect. And then if I have like a heavily played card that comes in and it's got a couple dings and stuff, it's fine. But even then, like a lot of the times when I buy those, they still show up like fine. Not going to be a graded 10 or anything, but it's fine to play with. And then the last really big pro I want to get out of the way with Card Kingdom is that their customer support rules. This has only come up once or twice in the 8 years or so since the first time I've used Card Kingdom, but there have been once or twice where I've got something wrong or a card didn't end up in the order, whatever, and they are very quick on top of it, making sure we correct the problem. All right, so let's talk the couple cons. This might not be a big deal for some people, especially if you're buying like fancy cards, but they did raise the price at which you get free shipping. Until pretty recently, your minimum for getting free shipping from Card Kingdom was $35. They have raised that to $50 within the last few months. And again, if you're ordering a bunch of big orders, or if you're building like a whole deck all at once, or you're buying fancy versions of cards, that might not matter to you. But for someone like me, where a lot of the times I'm just like, every set, every couple sets, something like that. I'm just buying the handful of singles I need. I'm probably not spending $50. It would be nice to get the free shipping if I was just hitting the 35 threshold, you know? And with that said, they do charge more for shipping than TCGPlayer does. Next con is that they have a smaller selection of cards, especially when you get into sealed product. Because Card Kingdom is actually kind of just like one or two like actual LGSs, they're just like huge. They are limited to what they have in their inventory. Yeah, they probably have some version of some card that you're looking for, but do they have the very specific foil from like a very specific event, specific promo? Do they have that? They might not. And they sell out of sealed product really fast. If you're wanting to get a box or a Commander Precon, those sell out really fast, and sometimes they don't come back in stock or they will get marked up really high. And that leads into the last con, which is that we'll talk about this in the pros for TCGPlayer. There's not a competitiveness in pricing for Card Kingdom. So a lot of the times you are seeing cards marked up quite a bit higher than their market value. And that's especially true with staples. That's especially true with special versions of cards. And it's one thing if you're like, oh, this 12-cent common is 25 cents or something. Like, that's fine. You have to like have some price at which you are going through and grabbing these quote unquote worthless cards. But no, I mean, even just like other cards are just like marked up much higher than you would expect or hope. All right, so moving into TCGPlayer, let's go ahead and start with the pros for that one. Almost every single pro that I'm going to list for TCGPlayer stems from one singular point, which is that multiple people can sell through them. TCGPlayer is not just like one store. It is multiple stores that have varying degrees of credibility that are able to sell through TCGPlayer. And that leads to a lot of great things. For example, competitive pricing. If you and another store both have the same card, roughly the same condition, in order to guarantee that you are the one who's going to make the sale and not the other store, you have to mark it lower and or do free shipping or something like that. And so in TCGPlayer, you often are paying less money because the stores are competing with each other. And because you have so many stores, you are much more likely to find very specific things you are looking for. Special treatments, foils, promos, and that's true for singles, obviously, but also true for sealed product. And yeah, especially if you're looking for something that's like older or was really popular, you're probably gonna pay some kind of a markup from what it was originally selling for, but at least they have it in stock, whereas Card Kingdom might not have it in stock anymore. And if you're a bit of a nerd or you're just trying to get your finger on the pulse of what to expect, they also show pricing history. I don't know if I've ever looked at pricing history as a excuse to buy or not buy something, but it is kind of interesting to look at, and especially if you are someone who is like trying to get into MTG finance, I could definitely see that being a useful tool for you. Also, because we have multiple sellers, they have cart optimization. This is cool for a multitude of different things, including being able to narrow down so you're having fewer packages. Like if there's one seller who has the cards you're looking for and another one also has it, you can start paring it down so you'll have less packages coming in. And then you can set it to different settings for, do you care if it's the same version of the card or just the card? Do you care about the quality or just any quality? Fine. Like there's multiple things that you can kind of mark, and if there's things you do or don't care about, narrow down your packages and stuff like that, which is kind of nice. Both if you just are worried about your cards getting lost in the mail, having fewer things to keep track of is nice. And also if you're especially trying to play more on a budget, this is a much more budget oriented means of buying cards. And then the last pro I would give to TCGPlayer is that they have stuff that is not just Magic or like sleeves and boxes. They have stuff for other games. They have Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, probably Bakugan. I don't know. I didn't check that last one. So if you're into more than just Magic, or maybe you're picking up a Christmas gift for a friend, or maybe you're just kind of down to just test it out, it's kind of nice that, hey, I'm already making an order for some of the cards I was going to get for my Magic decks. I'm going to go ahead and also get some of these other things as well. All right, so with that said, there are 2 cons I have listed for TCGPlayer, and that doesn't sound like a lot when I just went on a big spiel about all their pros, but these 2 cons I think are very big, especially compared to the cons that we got from Card Kingdom. Number 1 is quality control. Like I said, always been really happy with the quality of my cards from Card Kingdom. TCGPlayer, because you're having different stores from all over the place with different levels of verification, there are some places who are going to say a card is in better or worse quality than it really is, sometimes leading to a nice surprise, but often you're like, what the heck is this card? Why is it all scuffed? Why is it all ugly, curled up, got big scratches, banged up corners, whatever? You often are going to get something worse than you were expecting. And then the last 2 times I've ordered from TCGPlayer, I've actually gotten a card that I didn't order. That's not really something that's been worth fixing, because I'm like, I guess it's not a big deal. I didn't pay for this, but like, why is it here? Like, they're going to accidentally mess up and accidentally give away a card that's actually worth money, and then someone's going to get fired, and it just doesn't sound like a good time for anyone involved, except for maybe the person who ends up with the fancy, expensive card that wasn't meant to be given out. And then the other thing is that the cart optimizer that I was just raving about is actually quite flawed. Sometimes it just gets confused. It just doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Sometimes you'll tell it to keep the same version of a card, and then it just won't. Sometimes it will just save things to your later instead of keeping it in your cart, even if it's still in stock. It's a very flawed system, and while this hasn't ever happened to me, I have heard from a couple of my friends that when they've ordered from TCGPlayer before, there were cards that they were supposed to get that accidentally got saved for later, and then they didn't know until it was too late. All right, so those are the big pros and cons I have for Card Kingdom and TCGPlayer. So the final verdict. What do I think about these? Which do I prefer? Honestly, I kind of prefer Card Kingdom, but I actually use them both. Magic is my biggest hobby. It's the hobby I spend the most time on. It's my full-time job. So I'm willing to do something that I don't necessarily recommend everyone does. I make a list of all the cards I need, and then I ping pong between Card Kingdom and TCGPlayer and see who has the exact versions I want, who has the better prices. And then usually what ends up happening is that when I buy new cards, I have a package coming from TCGPlayer and a package coming from Card Kingdom. The big thing for me is I am usually willing to spend a little bit more on Card Kingdom because I am happier with the quality of service, both in if something goes wrong and in speed, with the guarantee that the quality is probably going to be a little bit better. I'm more comfortable personally making that little bit of a sacrifice, spending a little bit more money, than on TCGPlayer, where I might spend a little bit less, but it's a little bit more of a gamble on if they're going to give the right version, if it's going to be in the quality they said it's going to be, and stuff like that. But again, I still do use TCGPlayer a lot of the times because they do more often have like specific versions of cards that I am looking for. Whereas if I'm just like, I'm okay with the stock version or whatever, I'm probably going to find that on Card Kingdom, but TCGPlayer, they're more likely to have like a fancy version of a card. Well, I hope this video was helpful to you in some way, shape, or form. If you think there's anything really big that I missed, let me know down in the comments. And if this is a video that you guys like, maybe we can do some kind of follow-up, like I said in the beginning of the video. And again, tune in next week for our annual Christmas episode of our Commander gameplay series. Always a good time. I hope you guys have a great holiday season with your family and your friends, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.